Hi, so I want to go through something real quick, and it was based around healthcare. So I watch a lot of finance programs and finance people talking about economies and how there's issues with healthcare and overloading of hospitals, and this isn't actually relevant to what's going on right now. This is actually just a subject in general. So they always have all these very, very intense discussions about healthcare and the issues with healthcare and why they need to change this, they need to get national healthcare, and it's something where I'm so confused by. And the reason why I'm so confused by it is because the reasons all these, I believe it's as simplistic as this, and I feel like because they use a lot of jargon and a lot of financial problems that they have in funding hospitals and funding healthcare, it confuses a lot of people and it takes away the simplicity of it. So my point being is, with hospitals, the reason a lot of them are overloaded, it comes down to something so simple as people are way more unhealthy, not only more unhealthy than they think, but they are very unhealthy in general. So if someone is, say Sandra from down the road, who's 42 years old and she's a school teacher, she hangs around with other people in the offices and school who are also unhealthy, but she's slightly more healthy than her friend who's beside her, then she just justifies her unhealthiness by being more healthy than the person beside her. She doesn't understand the baseline of health. So the issue with that is she's going to get a little bit older, or maybe she already has issues with her body. So the issues that she has with her body is then eventually going to take her to the hospital, where she's going to have to get a hip replacement. She's going to have to get knee surgery because she doesn't know how to take care of herself properly and fix these things. She's going to have a lot of these things come about, which again goes back into the system of healthcare, where people pay for healthcare, and there's a system there. I don't really know the understandings of how the actual cycle works in terms of where the money goes, but in terms of that person, as I gave you an example, she is very unhealthy. And that's someone who's maybe only a little bit. There's people out there who are so unhealthy and are overloading healthcare systems where they can't deal with it. And they're talking all these issues about how to fix these problems and do this, and what they're not saying, and I feel like it's like people don't talk about it. It's something that people don't speak about. They all just talk about how to fix the finance behind healthcare, when they could be doing something so simple as help someone at a young age look after themselves correctly. It's so easy to fix this. I think about this all the time. I think to myself, why don't they not just do this as an example? They should implement some sort of healthcare card. You have to have the education behind each person should have a healthcare card. Just like you have a driving license, just have you like any other card. You have a system where you're tested based around your health. So it could be there's healthcare spots in every town, and you have to go into that healthcare spot once a year and get tested for a baseline measure on how you cook something. And people maybe laugh at that and think, oh, that sounds really ridiculous. How are you supposed to do that? Very easily. You would have, as I said, systems in place, and each buildings in place, just like you have, when you're young, people get into trouble, they'll have centres for kids who are misbehaved. They'll have those in every town, where I'm from anyway. People will have, there's centres for older people, there's centres for many different things out there. So why can't you have a system where you have buildings that are there for testing people on, say, their baseline measurements on understanding health, and baseline measurements on how to cook? Because if someone knows how to cook, I'll tell you the understanding of this. If someone doesn't know how to cook, right, then they relate healthy food as very not tasty, and they then relate things like Burger King and McDonald's and things as tasty food. And that's a vast majority of people, or maybe not even as extreme as that, even a little bit less extreme, but it's still not good enough. So my point is if you can have a system where you have a measurement on someone's cooking ability so they can cook something that actually tastes good, then not only will they be able to, that person will be able to save money, they'll be able to actually look after themselves and not end up into hospital, not on prescription drugs at the age of 30 or in their 20s, or even nowadays kids at all ages are super obese, because you would have baseline measurements, and it's something so simple that could be fixed. Because if you just put these things in, so you get a health card, you're tested once every 2 years, and you could do it as like the people over the age of 50 years old they don't need to do it because they are another generation. But you can start with a younger generation of people and make it legally binding. You have to do this. You have to get tested. You have to have a health card, just like you have to when you get into a car. You have to have a license to drive a car or any other license out there. It's the same thing. Then what you'll find is a lot of people will then eat much better. They won't get ill anywhere near, probably 90% of it, if they can eat good food and understand health, just even a general basis. They'll then know how to cook basic meals. Then they'll vastly get a difference in their health. So 90% of 90% of healthcare will be reduced. 80%, I'm guessing, it's an educated guess, but a vast majority, let's say 50% of it, they'll be reduced. So that's something to me, as I said, I've watched all these programs and like hour-long things on investments and finance and economy, and they always go back to this healthcare problem when it's going to be a constant terrible cycle of trying to fix something. It's like trying to fix someone who's done 50 years of bad eating. It's near enough impossible to fix that person because it's so embedded in them. So why don't they go into a system where it's just legally, you have to legally pass a basic baseline measurement test, and there's an adjudicator in a building in each town on a radius of 30 miles, and you go in and you just get tested, and you just have to study slightly for it so you have an understanding of basic cooking. Because you might be someone watching this saying, oh, I know how to cook basic meals, but as I said, a vast majority of people don't. And a lot of those people are getting ill, and those are the people that are costing so much money to all these hospitals. But in my opinion, this is something that's so simple and it could easily be implemented. But I think, again, going deeper into it, I feel like it gets to a point where they don't want you to know that. They don't want to do it because then again, there's so much money made in pharmaceuticals and things that it's like to the point where, what's the point? You know, like if we fix them, then there's no more money going to pharmaceuticals. There's something going on there, in my opinion. People who know me think I'm a bit of a conspiracy person, but the explanation I just made, for me, is something that definitely is real and definitely something that would work. And I'm no genius. I'm just someone who's I look at people and I look at human behaviour, and I can see that could be something that could easily be implemented. You know what I mean? So, as I said, that's kind of a general understanding of my beliefs, and I just wanted to put that out there and see what other people's thoughts were on what I'm saying. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, or see whatever you got from it. So cheers.